everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. Not going to sing it today. I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
With me today is my co-host, Troy Brittingham.
Yeah, I know why you're not singing. There's no joy. Yeah.
My name is Jeff Ackerman, and with us today, very special guest, friend of the pod, Caitlin McGee is here.
Thank you.
I'll give you a little round of
I'm
applause.
so honored that you chose for me to see this movie with you guys.
Yeah.
So, we saw Madam Web, and I'm going to tell you guys off the bat, it's my fault. Because this is another one of those
penance.
things.
Penance now.
Shame. Ding, ding. Shame. Ding, ding. That's me right now. I saw the trailer for this movie, and I was like, there's no way it's that bad, which, if you remember, is also something I said about Beekeeper and Night Swim. One of those movies was okay. And now we're here watching Madam Web. So, without any further ado.
TB&J!
If you could see the future, you would have known I would have hit the button at that time.
TB&J!
You're right. Can you try to give me the voice of the bad guy in this movie?
No.
TB&J!
Not without canceling myself for a bad racist stereotype.
But he's sort of going for a thing that's incomprehensible. It's like it's nothing. Okay. Let's get into the thing here.
If you are new here, the way we do things in the beginning of any review is we do a thumbs up or a thumbs down for each of our reviewers present, because everything on the internet is either good or bad. There is no shades of gray. Everything is either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. It's my biggest pet peeve about the internet since the beginning of time. So, Troy,
at the beginning of time, there was no internet.
At the end of this, we'll give a more nuanced review. But for now,
dinosaurs didn't have AOL.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure dinosaurs weren't getting those little discs in the mail for 90 free
Little
minutes
floppies.
of AOL Online? Which AOL Online was so stupid because AOL stood for America Online, and the disc said AOL Online, so it's America Online Online. It's like saying ATM machine.
We should talk about something. That's
Troy, thumbs up, thumbs down.
I've given this a lot of thought.
Oh, did you?
And I'm going to go thumbs down, I think.
Okay. Caitlin.
I am giving this a thumbs up.
Really?
I am. I really am.
Okay. I will tell you guys, in the last episode of this podcast, Troy and I saw Lisa Frankenstein. And I admitted to the podcast listeners a great flaw of mine is I have a recency bias. Generally, things I've seen more recently, I hold in higher regard to the rest of things, and I give it a bit of a fluffier, higher grade than I normally would or should. That being said, fuck Madam Web, thumbs down. Holy goddamn shit. Now, I also want to say, before we go any further at all, I am a Dakota Johnson apologist. I love her dearly. I think she's a wonderful actress. She just keeps getting put in terrible films and bad roles.
This movie is not her fault. She does do a dog shit job in it.
They really put her in front of the camera and said, "Okay, Dakota Johnson, now act." And she didn't.
And you know it's not her fault because everybody else is in the same camp.
Yeah. Now, Troy, if memory serves, you were telling me a funny little anecdotal story about the makings of this movie. And how when the four main actresses were cast, a lot of their Twitter, X and Instagram posts were about, like, thanking Marvel Studios. And then they got to set and realized it was not Marvel Studios; it was a Sony production.
That's the running theory, at least.
Is it
the
is it just a game theory?
The hashtags were in. Well, he's dead, so the hashtags are
Jesus
are in like the Instagram and Twitter posts. And Dakota Johnson fired her agency immediately after the first trailer of this movie dropped.
Really?
And then obviously the media circuit for this movie is fucking wild.
I will say, if you are in a similar camp to me, or even if you're not, I implore you, please watch Dakota Johnson on Saturday Night Live. She did an amazing job. She is incredibly funny. She's really, really good with timing. She's really good with the scripts. She did a little bit of writing. The stuff that she did was actually really good. I do love her. I wish that she got better ways of expressing her talent in this world. But unfortunately, that isn't the case because she gets Madam Web.
Soon we can see her in Daddy-O.
Oh, that's right. She's in Daddy-O.
Yeah, with Sean Penn.
A movie I will never see because what the fuck kind of a name is Daddy-O for a movie?
It's probably
Can
what he
you
calls
imagine telling people I'm gonna go see Daddy-O tonight?
They're gonna be like, "Oh, is that what you call your sugar daddy?
Exactly.
Is that what you call your OnlyFans stream?"
I was gonna this has got a chance, and then the title hit, and I went, no, it's
I'm
fine.
the exact same boat.
It feels like a small artsy film that should be at Sundance and not across theaters everywhere.
I was gonna turn to one of you during the movie, and I was during the trailer at least, and was gonna be like, "Oh, so she was in Madam Web, so now she can be in a real movie." And then it was called Daddy-O, and I went, "Never mind, I'm gonna keep that one to myself."
You know what's funny? I feel the same way about Sydney Sweeney. I feel like I have a conspiracy theory that she's not in SAG. So when they were on strike last year, she was like, "Fuck it, I'll work. I'll take all the jobs," and that's why she's in every fucking movie I've watched this year.
Are we convinced she's not AI?
I'm not. No one is that attractive with that large a pair of breasts and is just that mediocre at acting. I don't know.
Jesus. After the fucking throat.
I've only seen parts of what she did in Euphoria. I haven't seen a whole episodes.
Yeah, interesting. What parts?
The fun ones.
What's your favorite scene?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know anybody's name.
That's interesting. It's weird. None of them said their names during any of the scenes that you saw. That's odd.
They weren't doing a whole lot of talking. But she's great at that. And I want to give her credit as an actress. She's working really hard. She's out there. She was on Hot Ones. She ate the bomb. But yet I can't seem to get behind her when she's in a serious role on screen. I just can't take her seriously. And she doesn't sell it super duper well. I don't know. Maybe that's not her fault. Maybe it's just the absolute dog shit writing. Because goddamn, I don't think there was a single exchange of dialogue in this movie that didn't make me groan out loud or roll my eyes.
You were doing a whole lot of. I don't know if I've moved in a movie theater seat so much.
You were visibly shaking with laughter sometimes.
So this is what it really breaks down to. I have never been in a movie, watching a movie, and
ever.
Never once. This is the first time.
Oh,
this
boy.
is the first movie I've seen.
I hope this doesn't sour your experience.
I don't
I
think
can't
I'm gonna.
wait for your second movie.
I don't think I'm gonna do it again.
I can't wait for your second movie experience where you go, "Wow, this reminds me of Madam Web."
This is kind of like Madam Web, but not really.
I can't wait to show you the next best film, Morbius.
But I have never watched a movie where the entire time I kind of felt bad for the movie. I was so I was genuinely in a state of, and I don't use this word unironically often, cringing at the movie the entire time. I was embarrassed that the movie was real.
Yeah, the dialogue is certainly really rough. From what I've read about this movie briefly online, I didn't do too much research, so don't this isn't gospel. But this movie has been in basically development hell for the last 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to come out alongside what's his name, the first Spider-Man, Raimi.
Tobey Maguire?
Tobey Maguire.
Apparently this like got thrown around back in the Tobey days, and then it got shelved.
Fuck cared about Madam Web back then. Like now we're
Sony.
at the point. Now
Sony wanted Spider-Man to be like a big thing. They wanted, because Spider-Man movies did great. They
Sure.
wanted to expand, but Madam Web couldn't take off. It got shelved, and then it came off the shelf again when Garfield was around, and nothing happened. So it went
What is
back.
The words you're throwing at me, it's like you're giving me whiplash here. My emotions can't handle it.
I genuinely think that's why the movie takes place in 2003. Because it was supposed to come out when Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man.
That makes so much fucking sense, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then because it's been so long and it's gone through development hell with different directors, producers, and writers, it's basically a cobbled together piece of shit at this point that they did their best to salvage, and it didn't work.
I'm sweating. My palms.
Palms are sweaty already? Mom's spaghetti?
Mom's spaghetti.
No, but that's I have no proof of that, but I genuinely think that's why it takes place in 03, because it was supposed to come out between.
You're allowed to wildly speculate about Madam Web.
I
don't think
it was supposed
Sony's
to come
coming
out
after you.
I really think it was supposed to come out between Spider-Man 2 and 3. I think there was supposed to be that little gap, because there was a longer gap between 2 and 3 than was between 1 and 2. almost
Dude,
like
Spider-Man,
they planned another movie.
Spider-Man 3 would look so sick after Madam Web.
Oh, I loved that movie as a teenager. I thought it was great, and then I grew up and I was like, wait, what's Sandman doing here?
Spider-Man 3 was the movie that I was embarrassed to be in the theater watching. So this is a whole nother beast for me to be like, no, this is way worse.
Spider-Man 3 is good now.
Yes.
Spider-Man 3 is amazing. Don't you dare speak ill of it again compared to Madam Web.
Me and Caitlin were talking about this on the car ride over to your apartment. Spider-Man 3 is good now. Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger is good now. Ghost Rider 2 is good now, probably.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think Suicide Squad, the first one's pretty good.
Whoa,
all of a sudden-
whoa.
Yeah?
No. Don't.
After Madam Web, I
No.
think
No. I'm a Dakota Johnson apologist. I'm also a DC Comics apologist.
Uh-huh.
And I will never forgive them for the first Suicide Squad movie or for Jared Leto. Fuck all of those decisions.
Well, Morbius isn't Jared Leto. Well, Morbius isn't Jared Leto isn't Morbius.
Before we get... Jesus Christ.
Morbius eclipsed the man for you.
I would like to come out right off the bat. I do not think Madam Web is a bad character. Like,
Sure, like the comic book character
yes,
as a whole. Sure.
I think Madam
Sure.
Web and her powers are really cool, and this could have been done well. It just wasn't, or at least it's a setup for a better movie later. But I don't think
There's
they've
not
earned...
another movie later.
Don't say that, man. They very well could. They could do a fucking Morbius 2 tomorrow for all we know. But this movie seems like it sets up for a Madam Web 2 where the kids all get their powers and she's more of like their guardian, like leading them mom figure. Because there were like flashbacks of them in their suits. Not flashbacks, visions, I should say.
Flash forwards.
Yeah, flash forwards of them in their suits, like being superhero badasses with like their individual powers that never got elaborated on. And I have no idea how they even get those powers, but I imagine that was what they want to touch on in Madam Web 2. Should it be greenlit? I want to, nothing's in stone, but they didn't. Madam Web, Cassie's character, she never grasped the whole purpose or base of her powers until way late. And that just felt like a missed opportunity. I don't know. It felt like this movie could have been a little longer.
Also,
and maybe it would have been a little better.
she didn't really learn how to use her powers. She just all of a sudden used them.
Well,
There was no sort of-
Well, you don't remember what the man in the cave said. He said, once you embrace the responsibility, you will achieve great power.
Which is weird. I feel like I've
That's
heard
not-
something like that before.
I've heard a variation of that somewhere. I'm not sure.
But that also still doesn't make sense to me. I feel like you still don't just all of a sudden know how to perfectly use your powers and can save 3 people at the same time.
She got Avengered to Thor in the well scenes where he got in the well and suddenly he had more magic.
It doesn't make sense.
I mean,
I feel like there should be a
Within-
thing of you at least learn baby steps.
I am on your side,
Don't
Caitlin.
just jump in and suddenly can save 3 people.
I am on your side. However, within the rules that they tried to set up in this universe, what flimsy rules there are, he said as soon as you embrace the responsibility, the great power will just come. And in her moment where all 3 of the girls were magically in danger all at the same time, she embraced responsibility for their safety, and it just kind of clicked. It made sense within the rules they set up. It doesn't mean it's not stupid.
Yes, it is
I'm
very
still
stupid.
on your side.
Love
it follows the rules they set up in the movie, but they're stupid rules. They shouldn't have been made up in the first
I
place.
agree with you.
I do
Okay.
love
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yes.
I do love that Jeff's role in this episode is maybe I can I can drag Madam Web into a D and not an F.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. On a scale of 1 to 5, this is like a 2 or a 3 for me. It's definitely dog shit that I'm not going to watch again, but it's not Suicide Squad bad.
I think I'm gonna give you words at the end of this episode, and I'm not gonna spoil them, but
That's fine.
yeah.
But this movie had potential, and I feel like there were pieces of a good movie hidden in there deep down, but it just got lost in all of this terrible, cringy, clumsy dialogue and writing. Like you're running from the police because apparently they think you kidnapped these 3 girls. Okay, fine. You stole a taxi cab? One of the most
She steals a lot of vehicles in this movie.
She stole a taxi cab, a very easily identifiable and recognizable vehicle, and then runs away to New Jersey. So you're hiding in Jersey in a bright yellow New York City taxi cab that's definitely not going to draw attention at all, you fucking idiot.
Well, she takes the license plate off.
Oh, right. Because no cop is going to pull over a taxi cab that doesn't have a fucking plate on it. Jesus Christ. And you went to fucking Northern Jersey. Those cops have nothing better to do. They're going to pull you over. All right? And then your second vehicle theft, if you want to stay under the radar, she stole an ambulance.
Uh-huh.
I don't...
Hey,
What?
even more identifiable vehicle.
An ambulance that she never turned the lights off. So it's like constantly identifiable. It's just blaring like a fucking
And
rave.
she gets mad at the girls for it being not inconspicuous.
Yeah, she's like, way to not draw attention to yourselves dancing on a table in a diner. Oh man, this is terrible. Oh man, let me go drive my bright yellow taxi cab over to this Jersey diner. Go show these girls a thing or two. First, and they dined and dashed. They did not pay.
Good point.
Just adding to the list of terrible things about this movie.
They deserve death.
They deserve death. They stole from a...
As soon as
All
they
right.
left the diner, Caitlin was just like, oh man, I hope this guy catches them.
Troy, there's a lot of negativity on the internet.
Yeah.
I implore you right now on this podcast to say something positive about this movie.
Oh boy.
Come on, man. You've got to have a positive
I
thing.
do have one thing. I genuinely actually laughed one time in this movie, and it was when they're running through the train in the very beginning, and the one guy asks if this is the right train, and then he moves over to a different train.
This is the train to Mount Vernon, right?
Yeah, and then he moves over to a different train, and then when they're running past him and running for their lives the first time, he goes, "Do you know the time?" And she goes,
No, she says, "Is this?" He says, "Is this the right train?"
"Oh yeah," and she
she
goes,
says, "I don't know,
yeah,
man."
she goes, "I don't fucking know, man." Like,
She goes, "I don't know, man." Like
for some reason, that delivery got me.
that was good. I told you, Dakota Johnson's funny sometimes.
Yeah.
She wasn't given a lot to work with in this film. She really wasn't.
Now, if you were to ask me to name another good thing about this movie,
Thank you, Caitlin. That's exactly where I was going.
I could not. It's the only redeeming part of this movie. Every single person who worked on this movie failed at their job, and they should be ashamed.
Not everyone. Someone's job was to make me believe that Sydney Sweeney was 17 years old without a pair of massive tits, and they did their job. Kinda. But they did it.
Kinda is the baseline for this movie, and should not it should not be commended for it at all.
The bar was on the floor, and somehow we found even lower to go. I wanted to like this movie. I really did.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to come into this movie being like, the internet's just mad. There's a female-led superhero movie again. It's getting review bombed. I'm sure this movie's not bad. And then people started talking, and it's the writing is so bad. Like, the best actors in the world cannot save a bad script.
I said this on our way over. If you told me that this movie specifically was not a writer's strike scab movie, I think I'd spit in your face.
I'm inclined to believe it isn't, just because. Ew.
You can cut that if you need to.
I might. I don't know. We might leave it in. It was fake anyway. But I'm inclined to disagree with you only because there's a lot of work that goes into a film before we ever see it or hear about it. That takes an awful long amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So this script had to have been at least done and like ready to go to the director and start the casting by like 21, I'm thinking. Maybe 22.
It was announced a long time ago.
Well, it's been in development hell since Tobey Maguire. So, like, they've had the idea, and I want to say they had an original script, but it kept getting changed and rewritten every time it kept coming out of development hell and going back. So, like, it's not entirely like this group of people's fault. It's like a collection of people over the past 15 years.
So
or
what you're saying is that Caitlin has more names to
Yeah, Caitlin, your list of names of people that did their jobs poorly just got way larger.
I am
Anyone
so mad.
that's worked in the Sony movie department for the last like 15 years, just put them on your list.
I'm coming for all of them, man.
You're just writing a list like Arya Stark.
Yeah.
Jesus
They're
Christ.
supposed to be dead.
I do have one other actual positive. This is genuinely a movie that I might own one day, just to be like, people who enter my home, I'm just like, dude, have you fucking seen Madam Web?
Is this gonna be your version of like Carrie Fisher putting on the holiday special to make people leave whenever she had a party?
I am on record saying that this genuinely might be the superhero genre equivalent of The Room. It's every single line had something in there for me. Every single special effect had something in there for me, and none of them good. I don't know what the voice the main bad guy was trying for.
I've never heard that accent in my life. Granted, I'm an ignorant white American, all right? I don't hear a whole lot of accents, but that was so weird. And my biggest complaint about the main bad guy, Ezekiel, his name was, most of the times he's talking, it's overdubbed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not within the scene. And you can tell very clearly and obviously, like, his lips don't match, or like the sound direction where it's coming from is completely wrong, and it just sounds completely different compared to the sentence he said a minute ago when the room hasn't changed. It drew me out of the movie so often whenever he was talking, and I still don't understand completely what his motivations were. Like, these 3 girls cause your death at some point in the future, maybe. Okay?
Well, it's the conundrum of, would you kill Hitler as a baby?
Is that what I was supposed to think?
That's what it is.
Except think of this. What if Hitler was 3 teenage girls who aren't Hitler?
Yeah. What if, man?
What if Hitler was 3 teenage girls without dads?
Or moms.
Or moms. Well,
True.
3 little
no, the one
strays.
had a dad, not one didn't have. Okay, gotcha.
She had a
Yeah,
dad,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he didn't care about her.
Yeah.
And mom was in a psych ward. She apparently had a complete breakdown when the divorce happened. Poor mom. Oh, man. But no, they're all little strays that Madam Web just takes into her little school for gifted Websters.
I had a big sigh at that, because they also don't develop them as a family enough. There's no development in this movie. It just kind of happens.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no payoff.
I hated the ending where they're just all in her apartment and she's just in a wheelchair with these red sunglasses on and just talking like she's like some super intelligent futuristic person who's mastered all of her powers now and she can see everything forever, and it felt really weird, and I don't know if this is the right word maybe, but unearned.
It absolutely feels unearned. That's what I'm talking about, where nothing is developed, there's no proper progression in this movie. It just happens. Everything just happens. That's the only way you can say it. And I feel like we got punished.
We got punished for having hopes and dreams and for wanting a good Madam Web movie. And here we are. What the fuck happened? What was all that Peru shit, all right? You're wanted by the police for kidnapping, and you're able to just grab a plane to Peru?
Yeah, she's in and out of Peru pretty fast.
Yeah.
She basically teleports to and from Peru.
The only way I knew time had passed was because when they cut to the girls in Ben's house with Mary Parker, super pregnant, he's like, oh, you guys have been here a week, and you're making all this mess. And I'm like, oh. So you're telling us how long they've been there, because otherwise we wouldn't know, because nothing's changed, nothing's really happened. Cool. Awesome. glad that happened. I just so much of the writing just felt super lazy, super clunky. It felt like 8 different people wrote parts of a script, and then 8 other people stitched those 8 pieces together. And then you got the Madam Web script. It's just, ugh. It sucked.
It's actually kind of impressive that every second of this movie kind of fails, except for the one scene where the guy on the
I will say,
train.
I believably thought the girls were friends, and they kind of bonded after the diner bit. And it seemed like Carrie was really trying to bond with them in the hotel room, teaching them CPR, but it lasted for like a minute, and then it was gone.
I just can't get there. I can't get to that level.
I also can't get there.
I don't know what it is.
Again,
They don't
I'm a
sell me
Dakota
on this
Johnson
movie.
apologist. All right,
Yeah,
maybe
you're
I'm,
hoping Dakota Johnson hears this podcast. You want to be your friend and maybe more.
no.
Put your fingers together.
What?
You embarrassed. You putting your 2 fingers together.
Like
Yeah.
I'm
Ooh-woo?
tapping my index. Ooh woo.
Yeah. Just imagine it at people at home.
No. No. I've enjoyed Dakota Johnson for a long time now. I feel like she keeps just getting shitty parts, and I want her to get good parts. I never want an actor to do bad, except for Jared Leto. I want them all to get. I want every actor forever to get good scripts and good directors and show me that they're awesome at their job. That's all I want from any actor ever. I want to sit down in a movie and say, "You there, actor. Show me that you're good at your job."
actor boy. What day is it?
Why aren't you responding to me? Oh, right. It's a movie.
And of course, I thought about that because Dakota Johnson watching Scrooge in this movie at one point.
yes.
When it's not Christmas,
Not
who
Christmas at all.
would fucking watch that movie when it's not Christmas time?
Well, the therapist lady said,
Watch
to,
old
to
movies.
Watch old movies.
And that's the only old movie.
There's
That's
only
the only
one old
one.
movie.
Well, I understood why they did it. It's because Scrooge is seeing the ghost of Christmas past, future, and present.
It's the only
So
movie where they talk about time.
it's not the only movie, but
They could have picked a better movie.
there were they could have done Back to the Future, maybe.
They absolutely could have, and it would have been better than
It
picking
would-
a Christmas movie when it's not Christmas time.
it-
I think that's an odd choice.
But if you pick Back to the Future, it's a little too on the nose, don't you think?
I think this was too on the nose.
Oh man, I just every time there would be like a hint of like some good script writing or like maybe there's character development here, maybe something will happen. It just didn't really, and I felt so bad for these actors. They should have gotten a better script. They should have had a better fucking time. I don't know, man. So you really have nothing good to say about this movie?
I don't think I can. I can't get there. I've been trying so hard ever since we sat in the theater. From like second one when they started talking to each other, sitting in the theater, and I was ready to be like, I saw the Columbia Pictures happen, and like during the whole logo sequence, I was like, all right, college try, and at like the moment people started talking to each other at like second 2, I was like, oh my god, this is happening. Like it was I
People in the movie?
huh?
People in the movie?
Yeah,
we're talking?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Not
The way you were setting that up, it made it sound like the people in the theater with us like didn't give a shit. And were talking.
No, like second 2 of actually watching the movie, I was like, oh no, the train's already crashing. Like it was bizarre. Like I've never seen a movie that quickly kind of
Descend.
be off the rails. Yeah. Like,
It's not even shot well. That
It's-
was the thing that I was immediately aware of, is the way that they do this weird shaky cam that randomly zooms in on their faces. I've never been that aware that I was watching a movie before because the person who edited it and the person who shot it did a bad job.
it's basically like a movie that somebody else would be watching in a real movie.
I will tell you this: the story by people on Wikipedia. There are 3 names here. None of them are hyperlinks. I can't go to their pages. They don't exist.
How much was the budget for this?
Allegedly, budget, according to, what is this source? According to Deadline Hollywood Archived. Okay, so that's actually kind of credible.
Sure.
$80 million. $80 million. Well, Sydney Sweeney's not cheap. Dakota Johnson probably is, maybe isn't. And then the others were pretty no-name, except for, oh, God, what's his name? Adam Scott and Emma Roberts, who played the Parkers.
Mm-hmm.
Who, like, Emma Roberts playing fucking Peter's mom was awesome, I felt like. It was pretty good casting. She got 4 lines in the whole movie, and her character was completely wasted and thrown away, and every line that she delivered was some cringy sort of, like, hint at, oh, she's Peter's mom, I get it.
Oh, that's who the baby was.
Yeah! Oh, man!
Anyway.
God fucking damn it. I hate everything forever. I just... this movie could have been so much better, and unfortunately, it wasn't. The only thing I could find on this director was that she did a lot of S.J. Clarkson did a lot of TV. This is her first movie. She's also credited as a writer as well as director.
She can only go up.
Can she?
I think there's no way she makes another movie that's worse, right?
Who knows, man?
I am both excited and appalled.
She was director and writer on 2 episodes of Jessica Jones. So,
Okay.
like, she does know...
That's a real show.
She does know what good stuff is supposed to look like.
It's a show that exists, and it's real.
Yeah. Also, a few...
It's not a shared gas leak.
Also, director of a few episodes of Dexter, one of my favorite TV
Another
shows of
real
all time.
show that exists.
Man, what the fuck?
People like those.
I mean, what's going on here?
People like most of those. People like most of Dexter.
People like Dexter up until the end of season 4.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know, man. I had higher hopes for this film than what was delivered, and I feel, I don't know, man. I don't know what to feel.
Can you feel?
I'm glad that the movie was only like an hour 59.
Yeah.
Like it didn't.
They didn't Oppenheimer you.
God. If I was stuck in that theater for another hour, I may have blown my brains out.
They lock the doors. They they trap you in there.
You sit down, you just hear a click, and then you turn around like, whoa, what? What's going on?
When that guy starts jumping in the Amazon on all the tree trunks, and they showed that scene twice. They saw how it looked the first time, and they showed it twice. They were like, "What about? Hey, remember the scene? We're gonna show it one more time." and I watched it the second time, and I went, "No, it didn't get better. I didn't imagine it looking like that before."
Yeah. Troy, I will say that, and I wish Dee was here right now because Dee has an encyclopedic knowledge of all things Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But if memory serves, and by memory I mean this really quick search I just did on the internet, Julia, Anya, and Maddie, the 3 girls. Mm-hmm. They all portray Spider-Woman at different points in time in the comics.
Okay.
Julia being the first, Anya is the second, Maddie's the third. So, at no point, as far as I can tell very quickly here, I'm probably wrong, are they all together and powerful. Mm-hmm. They kind of take turns being Spider-Woman.
Okay.
So I don't know what Madam Web's doing here, aside from just rewriting a bunch of source material.
What if they're all the same person, despite them all being very different?
That you just wrote the script for Madam Web too.
Oh God!
Because she can be in 3 places at once,
Ooh,
right? So they're 3 people in one place.
The natural progression.
Also, she does that whole thing of trying to be in 3 places at one time once and fails. Like she doesn't.
She saves them and then fails is the thing. They do it both. They give it to you both. She tried out her powers, she got the thing she wanted, and then also didn't.
So, like, she was doing that, and I was like, oh, is she doing this, like, is she saving all 3 of them at the same time? Or is this, like, one, and then one, and then one? Like, can she split her consciousness? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
They show it one at a time. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be all at the same time.
Okay. So that makes my follow-up a little less of a bigger question, but, like, she does that. Ezekiel's right there 2 feet away, seeing her do it. Why doesn't he just, like, stop her? I mean, he does eventually punch her.
The scene has to happen.
He does eventually punch her and like knock her away, and then she like stops.
No, Jeff, because she has to save the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
plot armor.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's literally what her powers is towards the end, where she's just walking backwards slowly and things are hitting him, but she kind of knows that it's gonna hit him. But like they don't do like a whole thing of like, oh, she's planning this out. She's just walking backwards and it just happens. She's like, oh, I'm about to get lucky in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Man. So apparently, according to Wikipedia here, after she gets pushed into the water, that's her soul separating from her body, and she experiences the web of life, which is a thing in the comics, which is a plane of higher consciousness where all living things are connected and where every possible future can be seen. And after she goes there and she hugs her dear old mom and just recovers all that childhood trauma instantly, right? Then she can finally like embrace her power, right? None of that was well explained at all.
No.
Also, my favorite scene in the movie is her looking back in time, and her mom's like, "Oh, she's trying to stop me from doing my work, and I'm not gonna let her." And immediately Dakota Johnson goes, "Why did you hate me?" And then 2 seconds later, she gets shot, and she's watching it all happen, and she's like, "Oh no, I have to save my baby." It's like 3 seconds later, and she goes, "Oh my God, she didn't hate me." And then fast forward to her in the hospital.
You don't gotta fast forward. It takes place 10 seconds later.
And she's like, "Oh my God, she sacrificed herself to me." And then it goes backwards to she's like having a diagnosis, and it's like, "Oh, your baby has fucking no worky bone disorder." and
Has what now?
That's what they say in the movie.
No worky bone disorder?
Yeah, and then she's like, "No, I'm not gonna quit on my baby." And she's like, I love this scene where she's like, her bones don't work, and she's like, "I don't got a bone disorder."
Muscles. I don't have a muscular disorder. Yeah.
I had to hug you. You had to recover from that line.
I fell into my friend's arms. I thank you for supporting me. You're a good friend.
Yeah, that was boy. That was
also at the beginning, she says
there was light
to the guy who is revealed to be Ben Parker, "What, you don't want to get shot in Queens?" To the future guy
you've never been shot in Queens?
who gets shot in Queens.
Yeah. What's the matter? You've never been shot at in Queens? Ha ha. I get it. It's funny because Ben Parker gets murdered in Queens and Peter Parker cries about it and we're supposed to be sad.
Isn't that cute? Isn't that a cute little reference, Jeff?
Dude, this I'm hitting this right now. This movie would be the best Spider-Man parody of like all the movies and like their infinite references. If this was a parody of that, it would be pretty funny.
But here's the thing, right? Imagine all of these references if you're watching them in 2003 after you just watched Spider-Man 2.
I think it's still bad.
It's still kind of bad, sure. But like,
wait, hold on. Wait, let me get in mindset. I'm 7 years old.
It's not like common knowledge
I'm
the way
6
it is
years
today.
old, actually.
Oh my God, dude, no one cares. All right? No one cares. Don't do the math. But like that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these things would have hit maybe differently. We'll never know if this movie came out 21 years ago when it was probably supposed to, back in 2003, between Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3, or maybe between Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. I don't remember the exact timeline. But goddamn, man, it just goes to show this movie was really like written, rewritten, and rewritten like over and over and over and over, and it really suffers for it.
I truly, and maybe I just can't put my mind back that far. I just still can't. I can imagine this happening and then Spider-Man 3 coming out and my parents being like, "Do you want to watch Spider-Man 3?" And I'm being like, "I'm not going to watch another one of those."
Yeah. So one of my favorite things to do when we do movie reviews, Miss Caitlin, is I pull up the review scores across the 4 what I call the big four, they're not the big four. They're just the big four that show up when you Google search a movie. IMDb score, which is out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic, which are out of 100, as well as Google user reviews, which is also out of 100. It's a percentile base. Troy, where do you think this movie falls?
I know the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Okay.
Do you want me to say it, or do you want me
Go
to
for
it? The Rotten Tomatoes is 13.
That is correct. You got a guess on IMDb?
IMDb usually goes higher than I would like on almost everything. I'm going to say... Does it do halves?
It's a decimal system, but I'll give you
I'm going to say
close.
3.5.
Okay. Caitlin, you got a guess?
I'm gonna Price It Right this. I'm gonna say 4.
Oh!
Price is Right would be the other way around, wouldn't it?
No.
If it was,
Oh, I see. Never mind.
Then Troy would get the point because it's 3.8. You
Ooh.
went over. Price is Right rules. Metacritic.
Metacritic is out of 100?
100 out of 100%, yeah. I'll give you a hint. Rotten Tomatoes is the lowest. They only get higher
Sure.
from there.
I would have gone higher.
If you're going to rank them, it's Tomatoes, IMDb, and then Metacritic, and then Google has it as the highest rated.
27.
Wow, that's pretty generous. Caitlin.
28.
Oh, Caitlin wins that
You're just
point.
Price is Righting me.
I am.
Yeah, it's 30. You're both really close. Google.
It's bullshit. I demand a recount.
Google. Try.
Google. You said it's the
Caitlin,
highest.
you go first.
Okay.
Okay. So Google, you said it's out of 10.
Google is out of 100. It's the same as
Google's out of
Metacritic.
100. Okay.
Out of like 100%.
I am going to say 30.
Troy.
$1. $1, Drew.
$1. Well,
no, I'm gonna say for real. I'm gonna say 36.
Okay, I was gonna say if you remember what I just said 10 seconds ago, Google had it rated
Well,
highest.
I was doing
of
Price
the
is
four.
Right where I was hoping she
Yeah.
went over again.
It's 40.
Oh.
This movie is not regarded super well.
You don't say.
No.
I'm amazed that I saw the trailers for it and everybody was like, this is gonna be bad. And in my head I was like, well, it can't be worse than Morbius, which I haven't seen, to be clear. Morbius could be worse than this. I can't fathom that.
Did you like how in the train when she was sitting there and the girls were getting on as well, and the guy said New York's a whole different kind of crazy these days? Did you like how he was playing a PlayStation Portable?
I did notice
Because
that.
people just played their PSPs out on the train
Mhm.
back then.
Or how she was going home to watch Idol.
Yeah. Oh, another Sony product. Gotta get. And there was Pepsi everywhere in this movie.
Yeah.
They were drinking Mountain Dew at the
It's
hospital.
the final battle.
She's a paramedic. She knows better than to put Mountain Dew anywhere near her body, right? Like, she's smarter than that, right? Come on.
I liked all of the Pepsi branding, and then at the very beginning, there was milk brand milk.
Yeah, right? Like, you couldn't have gotten a deal with, like, fucking Horizons or some shit?
With anyone.
Literally anyone. Slap a fucking generic giant label on that or some shit. Or not giant if you're in different parts of the country. It's like H&B or whatever. Who cares? You could have done something. Oh, God.
Do we want to hit letter grades? Do we have anything else?
I will say before we go on, this review from the ABC News says, God-awful is too weak a word to describe everything that's wrong with Madam Web.
Truer words never spoken, man. Oh, my God.
Dakota Johnson leads an unintentionally hilarious Marvel flick.
We should give her an award.
A Razzie Award.
No, I don't think
No.
she should get a Razzie. I think she should get like a Purple Heart.
A Purple Heart for being wounded in battle.
I think so. I think I truly feel bad for most people here.
God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
Oh, I didn't think I could hate you more today, but oh man, you keep finding more.
Okay, before we move on, one thing I will bring up. There is a pivotal scene set to Britney Spears' Toxic.
Sure is.
Of
That
course.
is so
Iconic.
awful. Where the Dakota Johnson's character, Madam Web, is having a vision.
Casey Webb
Casey Webb.
or Cassie Webb.
Cassie, whichever
One
it
of the
is.
ones.
Doesn't fucking matter. She's having a vision of the teenagers being brutally killed. And in the middle of that scene, they turn Toxic up. And it becomes so fucking funny to
Yep.
watch these girls get killed while Britney Spears' Toxic is blasting.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You know what I
Such a
learned
mess.
about that song in this movie is that 5 different people wrote it, and none of those people were named Britney Spears.
Oh.
In the music credits at the end, it was like written by so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so, and so and so, performed by Britney Spears, and I was like, wow, okay,
Well, that's where her name is. You found it.
yeah.
Should we
Letter grades. I will go first.
go for it?
I'm gonna give this movie a solid D.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a solid D. I would rewatch this film under certain conditions, but it's an irredeemable piece of crap. It's an irredeemable piece of crap.
Jeff,
Have we ever given an F?
we haven't. It's interesting you say.
Are we gonna pop the cherry?
Jeff, I genuinely think you've been trying to really defend this movie as much as you physically can, and I commend you for that. I think it's admirable.
I mean,
That-
here's the thing. In my heart of hearts, I genuinely believe nobody in the film industry sets out to make a bad movie.
Sure.
I think everyone has their visions. They all think that this is going to be a great idea, and they just don't have the right people around them necessarily to reel it in or right the ship as a way of speaking. And I think that everyone that walked into this film knew that it was kind of not going to be great, but they did the best with what they had.
Yeah.
And they weren't given much.
Right.
Example, see Jake Lloyd and Hayden Christensen in the first 3 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Please don't jump down my throat, internet nerds. The prequel Star Wars movies, not the first 3. Go fuck yourselves.
I don't think anybody was coming after you.
Troy, what's your letter grade?
I am giving it an F.
Wow! Our first F!
I said to Caitlin on our ride over that I'm doing thumbs down F, and I don't think I can be shaken from this position. I think, genuinely, there's a few movies that we started with that never got letter grades. We have like Rise of Skywalker, which we were very nice to back in the day and have not been nice to since.
We were nice to it? I genuinely don't remember.
We were nice enough to it.
I think we were nicer than the internet was.
Yeah. We have seen Cats. We did Cats. We didn't do letter grade for Cats. We've done all sorts of just trash.
Oh yeah, Cats would have gotten an F.
I think this might be the worst movie that we've ever done on this podcast. I cannot imagine us doing a movie worse than it in the future. It is maybe possibly, and I'm thinking it over, because beforehand I would have said like M. Night Avatar. This might be the worst movie I've ever seen in theaters.
Yeah.
Caitlin?
So I am also in the F camp. I think that should be obvious.
The camp.
With the camp.
Or fuck
I
camp.
think that should be obvious with the way I said that I'm coming for everyone who worked on this movie because they punished us
Right,
with
the
it.
murderous intent.
Yes, with every single person on this movie failing at their job spectacularly. But if you remember at the beginning of the episode, I gave it a thumbs up. I do think people should watch it because it is still entertaining. It is hilariously bad.
100%.
It is just so goddamn bad that it deserves an F.
Okay. Before we go, do you guys know the real Madam Web's story in the comics?
No.
That's how we're going to end this podcast. Cassandra Webb was born in Salem, Oregon. She is a paralyzed, blind, telepathic clairvoyant and precognitive mutant, allowing her to work as a professional medium. She was originally stricken with a big word, which basically just means that she has neuromuscular disease, which she was supposed to have as a baby in the movie. But she is connected to a life support system designed by her. She is connected to a life support system designed by her husband, Jonathan Webb, which includes a series of tubes shaped like a spider web. Spider-Man approaches her to help find kidnapped Daily Globe publisher K.J. Clayton, who's actually an impersonator who staged the kidnapping. Madam Web uses her powers to help him locate and rescue both the real and fake Clayton, and discloses to Spider-Man that she already knows his secret identity. but she's gonna keep that little secret to herself.
Okay.
That's the real Madam Web. She's more like a paralyzed Oracle.
Yeah.
And not Dakota Johnson.
Oracle is paralyzed.
That's a good point.
I didn't catch that. How did I not catch that? That's incredible.
I can't get covered from this. Goodbye. That's it. It's over. That's my career. It's over.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, Troy. Do you miss when I made us watch good movies?
I miss when you made us watch The Beekeeper.
That was a great movie, you son of a bitch.
It's great now.
It was great then, it's great now.
I have only been on this when it's been bad movies.
Well, whose fault is that?